Hey guys! So, we've had some people that are wanting us to start a podcast, but we're not sure what it should be called. And so if anybody has any ideas of what they would like it to be called, that would be great. What do you think it should be called?
I have no idea, but I think that's a great idea. Let our listeners decide what our.
And I don't have any
Podcast
actual
today.
podcast equipment. I'm not prepared
Yeah, we're
to
just
do a
winging
podcast.
it.
I just use my phone and set it up, and then we just talk. When you start a podcast, you're actually supposed to have equipment for that.
Are you really? Because most people just start with their phone and they just start blabbing, and then as they get more popular and stuff like that, people send them money and.
Well, if anybody wants to send us money for podcast equipment, that would be great.
Yeah, you can just send us a message and we'll tell you we'll set up a Venmo and you can Venmo us money.
So, but
We'll never turn down other people's money.
no,
Ever.
no. So,
I have no pride, so.
No, he obviously loves to talk. So we are going to be doing these videos, and I'm uploading them to YouTube for people to watch.
You like to talk also, I just don't listen.
I
I always tell you, I can't hear you, I'm in the other room.
mm-hmm.
You have to come in here and say it, because I cannot hear through walls.
So
I'm sure other men have the same problem with their wives.
mm.
I've heard at least that's the problem.
So today, on that note, we're going to talk about the cost of getting healthy, or how expensive it is. Because we have a lot of people say that it's really expensive to change their life through health and fitness. So we're going to talk about the cost of getting healthy, or actually the cost of not getting healthy.
Yeah, or so you could also say the cost of being unhealthy, because unhealthy is actually very expensive. As I was doing the research on this, I was stunned how much it costs to not be healthy. It is staggering how much money we spend in America, generally, on average, to be unhealthy.
Yes, but then people will turn around and say that it's too expensive to be healtry.
Which is
So,
kind of weird, but okay, so we'll talk about it.
so to start out, here, just a little bit of our pricing here to work out here. If you're just going to come to classes here, and that's it, you're not going to do nutrition, you're not going to do anything else, you're just going to come to classes 12 times a month, it's $109 a month.
Yes.
So $109.
You get professional coaching, you have a positive environment, it's encouraging, it's structured, it's not fly by the pants. All of our program is done a year in advance.
Yes.
So every class there's a method to the madness, and there's a reason why we're doing what we're doing. We're not just throwing exercises at the wall and see what sticks. They are designed to progress you and to get you stronger, so that your physical activities outside the gym become easier.
So that's coming to the gym an average of 3 days a week. And the reason we do that is because we want to keep people accountable. When I changed that to a monthly 12 times a month, I kind of had some, throwback. But I found that, just giving classes or selling classes, I would sell 10 classes, and people would have a year or I didn't really have an expiration on those. Well, that didn't help people. That didn't help hold people accountable, because they could come to one and then they could, wait 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years. I have people message me 2 years later, oh, can I come to class? I bought classes from you 2 years ago. Well, that wasn't helping people. That wasn't benefiting people. So that's why I did that, because I'm here to help people and help people change their lives. So that's our, kind of our base. One of our baselines is, $109 a month, just to kind of give people, where we're starting from on if you're going to be changing your life, with just exercise. So then we'll get into some unhealthy stats. So where do you want to start with the unhealthy stats?
Let's start with prescriptions.
Prescriptions.
prescription drugs. Okay, so on average, most Americans, or the average American, will have 12 prescriptions written for them every single year. Now, that includes cold medicine, so that includes your flu, your cough, your runny nose, could be, you got muscle relaxers, whatever. So 12 on average. Okay, however, so the most popular medicines for prescriptions are high cholesterol, hypothyroidism, high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma and other lung issues, and heartburn medicines.
Those don't even have anything to do with a cold or the flu.
No, these are medicines that you have to take on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, just to keep those conditions at bay. And this is the thing, the prescriptions don't even cure the problem.
No.
They just allow you to stay alive. They keep you from dying.
Yeah, so you're just, keeping, basically, you're not doing anything to help the problem. You're just, babying it, basically.
Yeah, so you take a high blood pressure pill to keep your blood pressure low. What keeps you from having high blood pressure, what could lead to a heart attack, which could lead to massive heart failure, right? So you're just popping a pill just to keep the status quo. Mm-hmm. Okay, so 4 out of the top 10 are high blood pressure medicines, okay? Then we have high cholesterol, right? So where does high cholesterol come? Well, there's a lot of debate on high cholesterol, but generally speaking, if you're overweight or obese and you eat poorly, you probably have high cholesterol, mm-hmm. Okay? High cholesterol, more importantly, LDLs can lead to clogged arteries, which obviously can lead to high blood pressure, which also can lead to a heart attack, which will cause you to die. Okay, so now let's talk about numbers. Okay, so
cost.
Yes, the cost. So you want to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have these conditions and you're having to buy these medicines, so if you have diabetes, your average cost per year is going to be $680 on prescriptions. For heart disease, it's $627. For hypertension, it's $502. For arthritis, it's $489. So if you combine all of those,
well, if you just combine heart disease and diabetes and blood pressure, mm-hmm. Right?
It's $1,809 per year or $150 per month, which all of those can be prevented. So like we went back to before, if you come here, our lowest package that we sell per month here is $109.
Yes, and exercise actually not only will prevent it, but even if you have type 2 diabetes or you have high blood pressure, it is a proven fact that if you lose the weight and you get in shape and you become more physically active and if you eat good quality foods, you can come off your type 2 diabetes medicine and you can come off your high blood pressure medicine.
Yes, we've actually helped people reverse type 2 diabetes here. And we've helped people come off of their hypertension medicine. We've helped people come off several medications in here working with them. So it's not always just about losing weight. I know we post a lot of pictures of women losing weight, or we post pictures of women, in their transformations, where we say that women have lost weight, but it's not always just about people losing weight. That's about people coming off medications, feeling better, being able to move.
Yes. And let's be honest too. So if you're married, chances are if you're unhealthy, your spouse is also unhealthy. So you can double that $150 a month, and you can double it to $300 a month. Okay, so that's quite a bit of change every single year, right? It's $3,600 a year, and prescriptions only for a couple.
That's prescriptions. That's not even going to the doctor.
Yeah, that doesn't include all the doctor visits that you have to go to, all of that stuff, right? So then we can start talking about insurance costs.
Speaking of the doctor.
Right? So the average cost of insurance per month for a single person is $450 on average in America per month. If you're a family plan, it's $1,000 on average every single month. Now that's crazy amount of money, right? So you're talking $450 every single month on top of 300, or let's say it's a family, so you got $1,000 plus $300 in medication. That's $1,300 a month going to medical bills alone. Not medical bills, but just to function in day-to-day society, right? You got to have insurance. Now, fortunately, a lot of our employers, offset that cost with that kind of stuff, and we look for jobs that offer health insurance and stuff like that. But if you're an entrepreneur or you have a small business or this and that, this is what you're paying out of pocket. And if you're unhealthy, you're looking at least $150 for yourself for all the prescriptions. That's a lot of money.
So why are the costs so high? Well, that's because of all of us. So as long as people that are healthy require less medical care. People that are unhealthy require more medical care.
Correct. So let's think about that. So we always want to complain about the big bad insurance companies. We always want to complain about how the hospitals are overcharging us. What if we all got healthy, lost the weight, become more physically active? That means you would go to the doctor less, you would be sick less, you would be healthier for longer, right? Those medical costs over time would come down because it is supply and demand. We are a very, very unhealthy nation, right? So while we are being unhealthy, well, that means there's a high demand for medical services. Well, if there's a high demand for something, any product, the price is going to go up, right? Look at our Apple phones. I mean, there's a high demand for Apple. Well, they're not giving Apple phones away. They're going to charge us whatever the market says they can charge, which is roughly $1,200 for a phone. And we are more willing to pay for it. Now, we may pay for it by month through our plan, but we're still paying for it, and we're still willing to pay $1,200 a month for a phone. Well, it's the same thing with medical insurance. If the demand is there for health insurance, they're going to charge $1,000 a month for it because guess what? You need it. Okay, but if we were healthier, we wouldn't need it as much. Therefore, the prices would come down. The reason why our health insurance is the way it is, and we got to start being honest with ourselves, it's not the insurance company's fault. It's not the hospital's fault. It's not the doctor's fault. It's not the nurse's fault. It is us. We are overweight, we are fat, and we are unhealthy. We have got to get better. America's fat.
It's really sad. It's an epidemic. And everybody just unfortunately thinks it's starting to become okay. It's extremely scary, and everybody's answer to that is to just have a pill.
Yeah, just take a pill. Take a pill. Because that's the other thing too. Why are we? Is it just because we're taking a pill? I personally like to pick on doctors because my entire family's in the medical field. But it's not the doctor's fault, right? If you go to the doctor and you're complaining of a problem, their job is to get you better. And if there's a prescription out there that will make you feel better, they're going to give it to you because their number one job is to make you feel better. Now, if you have a really good doctor, they may actually come to you and say, hey, look, you've got to get healthy. You've got to eat better foods. You've got to get some physical activity. This pill is not the cure. This pill is a Band-Aid. The ultimate problem is that you are overweight and you're unhealthy and you have no physical activity. However, the doctors get tired of banging their head against the wall over and over and over and over and over again, telling their patients to get healthy, and then they see them 3 months later and nothing's changed, right? So let's help our doctors out too. Let's get healthy. When we go see our doctor, let's make it a good visit where the doctor comes in and goes, oh my gosh, you're at a healthy weight. This is fantastic. You don't have any heart problems. You don't have high blood pressure. You don't have type 2 diabetes. Awesome. I'll see you in a year. Have a great year, right? That would be fantastic if the doctors had to deal with patients like that. But they don't, because we're not healthy, right? So let's talk about unhealthy habits, right? So unhealthy people generally consume way too much processed foods, right? They eat very little home-cooked meals. They get little to no physical activity. They drink alcohol in excess, right?
Yes, those are the main things that most American families are doing. most all the time. So we find that hardly anybody is eating at home. People don't want to cook home cooked meals anymore. They eat almost all processed foods. They don't get out and move around. They're tired. Even when, you know, you do try to start an exercise program, you find that you're so tired, you're just not excited about it. And then on the weekends, you know, you don't want to get out and do anything physical. You want to go out and you drink with your friends.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about consuming too much processed foods. The top 5, in no particular order, these are just the top 5 foods that most Americans buy when they go to the grocery store are, should we have a drum roll? We need a drum roll, right? So we have soda. Shocker, right?
Number 1. I just don't understand soda. I didn't know people still drank so much soda.
You don't go to the grocery store. When I go to the grocery store, people load their carts full of pop.
I just don't understand.
Well, I mean, how long was I drinking
that?
Well,
he was addicted to soda.
Soda. All right, next one. Beer/alcohol.
So soda and then beer. It's actually 2 drinks.
I know it's drinks. Well, but it's, again, these aren't even necessarily any order. They're just the top 5, right? So then it's cereal. Boxed cereal. Lucky Charms, Captain Crunch. Oh my gosh, I can taste Captain Crunch. Used to have it all the time.
Captain Crunch is gross.
But I haven't had Captain Crunch in forever.
I don't like Captain Crunch.
You don't like Captain Crunch? What about Lucky Charms? You like what was your favorite cereal growing up?
Like Golden Grahams.
Golden Grahams. I like Cheerios, believe it or not.
I like
Cheerios were bad.
but we can't eat
But I used to
cereal
load it
anymore.
down with sugar though.
I don't eat cereal though.
I don't either. No. All right. So then we got frozen dinners. Shocker. Or frozen foods. Unhealthy frozen foods like pizza. Yes, your frozen dinners. Let's see. What else we got? Burritos are frozen.
Pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls. All kinds of frozen stuff. Then we have salty snacks, right? Chips, stuff like that. Okay.
Stop kicking me.
I'll kick you if I want to kick you. That's the rules, right? See this right here? That gives me the right to kick you if I want to kick you. All right. So those are the top 5. There's no shocker. Next time you go to the grocery store, just take a look in everybody's cart, and I promise you they'll have, if not all 5, they'll have the majority of those 5 items in their carts.
I'm really surprised that like cookies and stuff wasn't on there. But
I'm sure it was top 6.
That was top 6 because that's what I hear like a lot. But I mean, yeah, those are. I mean, cereal, yeah, frozen dinners. People just, I mean, they want what's easy. We are an immediate gratification country. We want whatever's the fastest, whatever's the easiest. We also want that with weight loss. Whatever's the cheapest, fastest, and easiest. And none of that works for weight loss or being healthy.
No.
So if you're looking for the fastest, cheapest, and easiest, you're never gonna find it. So you might think you're gonna find it, but you're not gonna find it. So we're like that with everything. We want immediate gratification. We want it with our food. We want it with, I mean, everything. So that's why it's processed food, cereal, frozen dinners, you know, everything. Whenever microwaves were invented, we went.
That's my theory.
Downhill.
I think we went into the toilet when microwaves were invented.
Yeah. So I remember like getting a microwave when I was a kid.
It was a big deal.
I didn't have a microwave at first because, you know, and I remember I was like, whoa, this thing is amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Crazy. What is this magical invention? So that just tells how old we are.
All right, so let's talk about being easy and being lazy. So on average, a typical American will eat out 18 times a week.
That's a month.
Is that a month? I'm sorry, 18 times a month. I apologize, 18 times a month. And if
That's
you don't,
still almost every day of the month.
And if you don't think you do, you do. You're lying to yourself. On average, 18 times a month. So if you factor in that an average meal eating out has cost you $12.75, that is $232 per month. All right.
How much does it cost to come here?
Yeah, let's go back. Let's add some of this stuff up. Okay, so if you're on 3 chronic illness medications, that's $150 a month. If you, let's just say you're a single person, that's $450 in insurance, so that's $600. Then if you factor in how many times you eat out, that's $832, almost $1,000 a month just to be unhealthy. We're not even done yet.
We're just asking him for $109 just to try to be healthy.
Yeah, and if you're a family, right, that $232, you can, if you're a family of 3, well, you can triple that, and if you're a family of 4, you can quadruple that number, right? So we're talking, $200, $300, $400 a month in fast food or restaurant food. That's crazy. You could for $400, you could feed your entire family in the grocery store for half the month. Half the month, just on eating out alone. Because the average family of 4 spends right around $220 a month, or a week, I'm sorry, $220 a week in grocery bills, right? That's crazy, it's a half of it. All right, so let's talk about physical activity, right? Because that's one of the things.
Get enough of that.
Yeah. So on average, a typical American will get 2 hours a week of physical activity, right? That could be gardening, that could be housework, that could be even, anything that requires our heart rate to get up. That could be taking the dogs for a walk. 2 hours. Okay, so according to the American Heart Association, we should probably get 4 hours of moderate to intense physical activity every single day. So we're getting about half of what we should.
Yeah.
Now, 4 hours a week is still nothing, people. Let's be honest. We should get at least an hour a day. If we want to be healthy, generally speaking, healthy people exercise or do some form of physical activity an hour a day.
We are creatures that are supposed to be mobile and moving around, not sitting all day. We were never made to sit all day long. So the fact that Americans or people in general sit all day now has become very detrimental to us. And that's another reason why we're in chronic pain. And when people come in and tell me they're like in chronic pain, and this is one thing, but some doctors do kind of agitate me about this. Telling them not to move when they're in chronic pain is a horrible, horrible advice, because you need to be moving. The worst thing you can do is if you have chronic pain is to not move at all. If you've been immobile for years and you're not moving, and your knees hurt and your back hurts and everything hurts, the worst thing that you can do for yourself is to continue not to move.
Yes, the less you move, the worse that condition is going to be. Now, it may be you can only move for 5 minutes until the pain is so intense you can't move. We understand that. So start with 5 minutes. Then the next day try to do 6, and then the next day try to do 7. Then maybe 2, 3 days later, you get up to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, we don't ask people to come in here and start just trying to do just a crazy workout for, an hour to do something like that I would do or something that he would do. We don't, there's no way, but you have to start somewhere. And if you start out for 5 minutes, it's better than nothing. And before you know it, you can do a lot. Your body is actually an amazing, creation, and it will adapt to whatever you're doing. So if you never get up, it's going to continue to adapt to you never getting up.
Yeah, it's going to hurt worse and worse and worse if you move around. So
yeah.
You've got to start moving. You get through that. Now, also understand the caveat is, okay, if you've got a very specific medical condition that's preventing you from moving, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that are just have normal aches and pains because they don't move, right? Okay, so we got to get out there and we got to move. All right. So one last thing about an unhealthy habit that costs us money: alcohol, right? Now, I will fully admit I do enjoy my beer. I'm a beer snob. I don't have it very often, but I do like certain flavored beers. And if it's not that certain flavor beer, then I think it's not even real beer. So understand that I have it occasionally, but it's not very often. Okay. So what is alcohol? Too much alcohol? Well, on average, typical American. I couldn't believe the stat when I read this.
I couldn't believe it either. He showed this to me, and I was like, that can't be right.
I still had to double check to make sure it wasn't right, but it is accurate. It is 17 alcoholic drinks per week. Okay, so The CDC considers 14 drinks a week. You are now listed as a heavy drinker.
Yeah.
So on average.
Yeah. So if you have 14 drinks a week, you're a heavy drinker.
So on average, every American that you run into is a heavy drinker. Now, I got to thinking about that. I was like, okay, well, let's just for a guy standpoint. Okay, so Monday Night Football, we consume 3 drinks from Monday Night Football. Then maybe, a basketball game's on a Tuesday, so we may drink 2 more there. Then another game's on Thursday, so we drink 2 or 3 more there. Then, on Friday night, right? So we got to have at least a 6-pack on Friday night to unwind from the week, right? Then let's say on the weekends you go to the lake, or you go fishing, or you go play golf. Well, there's a 6-pack or 8, 9 beers, so
you're a heavy drinker.
You're a heavy drinker.
And alcohol is one of the leading causes of weight gain.
Yes.
If I have somebody in here that I know is consuming alcohol heavily, I know I'll tell them immediately that they're going to struggle with weight loss, especially if they're above the age of 30 and they're drinking that much. They're definitely going to have a problem, because there's no way you can be up into our age and be able to consume that much alcohol and not have it affect your weight. You just can't.
Right.
And who can feel good drinking that much? I can't.
So let's think about numbers here a little bit. So if it's 17 drinks a week, right? So for beer, that's roughly 3 6-packs. Okay. So let's say $10 a 6-pack. That's $30 a week. Okay. If you're a wine drinker, that's basically a bottle a week. So that's $20 a week for a bottle, right? If you're a wine snob, that could be $50, $60, $70.
Depending on how much.
Depending on how expensive wine you like to drink, right? If you're it's a hard liquor type person, like someone who bourbon or vodka or something like that, it's right about the same amount as wine. It's about $50 for a pint, or almost a fifth, right? So that's $30, right? So if you tack all of that money on about being unhealthy, okay? So again, we've got $150 for prescriptions. We got a single insurance plan of $450, that's $600, right? On average, how often do you go out to eat? That's $232, right? So we're talking $800. And if you're a heavy drinker, on average, right, that's another $120. So we are well over $1,000 to be unhealthy. The amount of money you could save, if you have to pay for insurance, right, that's $450, right? That's $550 you could save yourself and get healthy. How much fun could you have with an extra $550 in your pocket? You decide. That could be a payment to a new car that you need, right?
That could be a payment for a lot of things.
That could be half of a mortgage, for crying out loud. You could upscale the house that you live in if you save $550, right? Now, it's all a lot easier said than done.
Yeah,
but if
we're
you
not
really
saying
look
that's
at it,
easy.
if you really look at the amount of money we spend on stuff that is not only that, all this stuff is killing us. You're shortening your lifespan.
You are, yes, definitely shortening your lifespan, because you're paying for meds to try to lengthen your life, but every day that you eat processed foods, every day that you continue to get less physical activity, every day that you consume too much alcohol, you are shortening your life.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's easy to change those habits, because it's a fight. You have to fight it every single day. And
for some of us, it's more than just every day. It's every 30 minutes we're thinking about something that we shouldn't eat, right? It's every meal. A lot of us are fighting it every single meal. I know I still struggle. I still fight with it every single meal. It is getting easier. I am getting healthier. I am getting leaner and all that kind of stuff. And I will tell you this right now. I have no desire to see my ab muscles. I'm not that kind of person, but I do want to be leaner and healthier. I do want to live for as long as I possibly can. And the only way I can do that is I've got to lose the weight. And I'm working on it. And it's a struggle.
Yeah, it is a struggle. You have to think about who you're around to. Ultimately the decisions are all his, especially when he's alone. But there are other things that play into that, like who are you with? Like, we have had a lot of arguments about that, because I want him to be healthy, and finding the right way to approach that with him and talking to him about that. But also, if I were unhealthy, there's no way he would be healthy. Because, you know,
No.
if I were to say, you know,
No.
if I were to just
That is-
to
that
let
is
him
absolutely true.
go, then there's a big chance that he would just let himself go.
I would still weigh. I
a
would
long time
probably
ago.
still weigh 220 pounds.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
But I had to really, really push for that for a long time. That it was extremely important for him to be healthy.
Yeah, I was
So if
super
you-
strong. I
He
mean,
was really strong, yeah.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I'm not any world record-setting power lifter or Olympic lifter, but you know, I could hold my own in a gym.
Yeah.
I wasn't weak,
So-
but I was really fat.
If if your husband or your wife, you know, and this is kind of going off on something we're not really supposed to talk about, but if your husband or your wife, you're like, they're just never going to do that, right? They're never going to do it. That's not necessarily true, because it was a battle with him for years, and a lot of fights, and that's getting into, you know, pretty deep in the weeds, and we would go back and forth about it, correct? And then sometimes I'd be like, okay, well, we can't talk about this right now, and then I would have to say, okay, what are you going to do about your health, about your weight, and it would be a fight almost every time, because he would get defensive about it. But finally, he realized that I was there to, support him, but if I would have just kept saying it was okay to eat tacos and I was unhealthy too, he would have definitely never changed. So.
Yeah, so let's be clear about support. Support does not mean condone. Okay, support means you have the conversations, and it may be tough conversations.
Yeah, they are hard. It's
now-
not easy.
Now, sometimes those conversations can be very difficult. Okay, so if you do have someone, if you are the healthy one in your relationship and you want the other one to be healthier, be very careful how you word things. Okay.
Yeah. 'cause
Even
that can
though
be-
you may
that can
mean
be-
well,
Yeah, that
but
can
you
be-
can actually it can actually turn into a more of an argument about things that don't really matter, right? And what really matters is getting healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think that's a really sensitive thing right now, and that's another hard thing too, is because unfortunately we've gotten into this society too where everybody thinks, oh well, you know, I shouldn't tell her that she looks bad, I shouldn't tell her that she looks fat, that's really scary, and I should just tell her she looks okay, or I should just love him any way that he is, and that's not okay anymore. We used to not live in a society where that was okay. And you should want your spouse to be healthy. You should want your spouse not to be overweight. You should want your spouse to be attractive. You should want your spouse. It's not, this way that we're living right now, it's not okay.
No.
So being scared, it's okay to be scared to have those conversations, because it is going to be, it's not going to be comfortable. But wives should want their husbands to be healthy and a healthy weight, and husbands should want their wives to be healthy and a healthy weight. And this whole thing like, oh, I love you baby at any size, it don't matter what you weigh. That's not cool. That's not cool. Because are you wanting your wife to die of a heart attack at age 50? Or you want your husband to die of a heart attack at age 50? Because you telling your wife or your husband that it's okay to weigh 200 pounds, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and understand that we're not expecting people to have, for men to have 10% body fat and for women to have 15% body fat.
No.
Okay? So understand that those percentages mean that you can see your abs, you can see your veins, and through your skin. We're not talking about being a bodybuilder lean. We're just talking about a healthy weight for your age and your height. Okay, so that means you are going to have a little bit of body fat, but not a lot. Okay,
No.
You're going to for a man, generally speaking, your waist size is going to be anywhere from a 32 to a 34. If it's above a 34, you probably need to lose some weight. Okay, right? For a woman, if you're above what size? What? 5 or 6?
It's hard to say.
Hard to say because
women's
sizes
sizes
change.
are
Yeah.
all over
The
the
women's
place.
sizes are all
Depending on
jacked.
what store you're at, so you can't really put a.
But we know what a healthy look. We know what healthy looks like
You
and
know
what
what
unhealthy
looks
looks like.
Yeah, and
if
you
you're
know
really
what?
honest with yourself.
If you go do blood work and your blood pressure's high and you know your cholesterol's high and like you know and like you said, you know what you look like.
Yeah.
And
you know.
So you know if you're overweight.
All right, so that was our
Sorry, we're kind of
conversation
went
for
off on
today.
a tangent there.
But that's okay,
That's
because
okay.
understand-
I think that's important though.
Understand that we are doing this to make it clear that we've got to lose weight as a nation. Okay? This has got to change. This has got to stop. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact
Amy at amyeverfitness.com, or you can message me on Facebook or on Instagram. Thanks, guys.
See ya.